What's up, everybody? Don't forget to save, aka Sam, back at you with another video. Gonna do something a little bit different today. But before I get started, just wanted to remind everybody that yes, still doing a 2-year giveaway, and so I'm letting everybody know. So basically, I've been on YouTube for 2 years, and I wanted everybody to do a video response to let me know what their favorite part of whatever I've done in this 2 years time on here of craziness. So, and also, if you have done a VR for me, if you can, please let me know in the comments what you like to collect, whether it's cards, comics, horror stuff, whatever it is that you want. So that way I can get ahead of things a little bit, so I can start working on that. So after that's all I've done and said, like I said, we're doing something a bit different today. I'm a history buff. I've told you guys this. And so I'm going to show you guys what I mean when I say that. So without any further ado, let's get right down to it. Today we'll be talking about John Henry Holliday, also better known as Doc Holliday. Now, the guy it's just a fascinating and tragic story. And I feel like he's kind of a kindred spirit in certain ways, as you'll see as I get on. So let's just go ahead and dive in. First thing you guys got to know about Doc Holliday was that he was a Georgia boy. Now, quick disclaimer here. I'm going to be talking about things that are historical. That does not mean that I espouse them or promote them. I'm just saying the way it was. I'm not saying everything that, happened back then was right. So, this is why I don't have my channel monetized, because I'd get in trouble for saying stuff like I'm about to say. But again, I'm not promoting it. I'm just telling things the way they were historically. So with that said, Doc Holliday was a Georgia boy. The thing about it was, when the Civil War ended, he was like 10, 11 years old. So he didn't fight in the Civil War, but he did have his dad and his brothers fought in the Civil War. And as most of you probably don't need me to tell you, they fought for the Confederacy. And his mother actually was from a prominent, well-to-do family, the plantation aristocracy that was in the South at the time. And yes, they did own plantations, and yes, they did own slaves. I do not agree with this. This is not something that I find to be okay, but it is what it is. It's just the way it was. However, it leads into our story because Doc was kind of a mama's boy in a way. I mean, his mother took care of him, excuse me, and all that. So, oh, Tawny's off center there. Anyway, so Doc's mom, when he was about 16, I think he was about 16 years old or somewhere around there. He was a young man at the time. She contracted tuberculosis. And so he watched. Now, back then, tuberculosis was known as consumption, because when you contracted tuberculosis, you would basically waste away. So he literally watched his mom waste away and get taken away by tuberculosis. And this was a very, the first big, thing in his life that happened. So off Doc goes when he's, comes of age, what we consider of age these days. He goes and he becomes a dentist. He actually attended school for it in Philadelphia, I believe, one of the most prestigious dentist schools in the entire United States at the time. And so that's where he got his name Doc from. And back then, you got to understand, we had different ideas of what a doctor was than maybe what we do today. Because again, things like tuberculosis aren't such an issue today because we have vaccines and better medicine and whatnot. Back then, if you were a dentist, that was, you were a doctor. So now, after he gets this dentistry and degree and he opens up his own, office practice, he contracts tuberculosis, and most people think that he had contracted it from his mother. So obviously, if you've got tuberculosis and you're coughing all over the place, you can't be working as a dentist because you're just going to spread it to everyone else. So, he goes to his doctor. Now, back in those days, when you contracted what they called consumption, let's call it consumption from here on. When you contracted that, the best advice the doctors could give you was that you would go move to a drier climate and go to they had hot springs back then. We still have them today, but they would go to the hot springs, and that was known to alleviate the symptoms that someone with such a thing would have. So at that point, Doc decides that he first he goes to Texas, which I think is probably not the best place to go, because certain parts of Texas might have a drier climate, but not where he went initially. But he kind of, from Texas, he kind of traveled all over the place, and he would go into saloons, and he would gamble and drink. And you got to understand it also at this point that Doc knows that he's a dying man. He knows, he's already knows, he's watched what happened to his mother. He knows this is going to kill me, and there's nothing I can do. I can only alleviate it. They gave him like 6 months to live, something like that. So he goes out west, and like I said, he travels all over the place, and he goes to saloons, and he has some run-ins, he gets into some fights, and he injures some people and shoots some people, and back in those days out west, there was no real law per se. So by the time he got to met Wyatt Earp, I believe, in Texas, if I remember correctly, and so by the time he meets him, he like I said, he already knows he's a dying man. So they end up when he first meets Wyatt, they don't really run together at the start, but they end up, he winds up going to Wyatt invites him to go to Tombstone. And again, you got to understand Doc's mindset at that, with the OK Corral thing. Like, you give Doc a shotgun, and dude doesn't feel like he's got anything to lose, because really he doesn't. So I'm going to go over the shootout at the OK Corral too much, but that was his mindset at that time. Like, he knew, like, he was living a dangerous life, because I think in the back of his mind, he knew that he was on a time limit, and he was just going to do what he was going to do. And if he got shot and killed, oh well. He knew it was better that way than suffer like his mom did, right? And again, I'm not saying that's okay, I don't like it, but that's just what it was, right? So anyway, after the whole Tombstone and the Wyatt Earp and Rite of Vengeance, where they got revenge after Wyatt, or Morgan and Virgil ended up getting shot. I think Virgil got killed. I think that's how that went. Anyway, point is that Doc ended up breaking off. I guess him and Wyatt Earp had a falling out. And so, Doc splits off, and he goes to a little town in Colorado called Glenwood Springs. Now, the reason he went to Glenwood Springs is because he was there for the hot springs. And unfortunately for Doc, that's where he ended up passing away at 36 years of age from tuberculosis. So that's just a little bit of a synopsis of the life that he led. Now, of course, I forgot to show you guys this. I got this out because marching through Georgia, right? And also, another fun fact, because he was a Georgia boy, so a lot of them Iowa farm boys that marched through with Sherman's army, yeah, Doc probably didn't like them too much, which, you got to understand, he was born into it, but he did have those inclinations. And again, I'm not saying that's okay, but it was what it was. Here's another fun fact. Here's a copy of Gone with the Wind. Probably can't see there we go. There you go, you can read the title there. Gone with the Wind, Margaret Mitchell. Margaret Mitchell was married to one of Doc's families, so technically they were related by marriage. And again, back then, Doc probably didn't give two flying toots, because I don't think a lot of people thought that was going to be the classic it ended up becoming, but that was another little fun fact. So I will leave you guys off with this. I found a kind of a cool quote that from Doc Holliday, and the reason I kind of identify with him, because I have physical issues too. Maybe not consumption, but if I was to get a drier climate, maybe to a better climate, I don't know if I would drink whiskey and gamble like he did, but like, I would like to go to a hot springs. Maybe that would help alleviate my pain, may make my life better for a couple more years. I can understand the mindset. Like, I get where his mindset was with it. And a lot of people say, Sam, you're just a northern boy, which in heart I am, but I'm also a Yankee with a rebel heart. So I kind of see both sides of it, and it kind of makes me appreciate the story even more because he was from the South. So I would leave you guys with this right here. This is from Doc Holliday, and it says, "There is no life, there's just life." So with that, guys, if you guys like this video and you want more videos like this, hit like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Until next video, guys, love your hobby and love you back. Peace.